Well, first of all, who is Tommy Barnes?
I am Tommy Barnes. I am a 1977 grad from Sheffield High School in Colbert County. Went on to Alabama in chemical engineering, had several jobs in industry, followed by utility management and water, natural gas, and wastewater, and was elected county commissioner in actually it was 10 years ago, 2016. I was elected county commissioner in Colbert County. I retired a couple months ago to run for United States Congress, your representative in District 4, Alabama.
And then, when I was talking to you yesterday and invited you up, I said, you got a lot of baggage here. And you said, well, it's a big, long resume, and it is, isn't it?
It is a long resume. I think I know a little about a whole lot of things, and that's good, especially if you're in government.
Well, the reason I call it baggage is because, you've got a card full of successes and so forth.
Yes, I've been blessed in so many ways working with young people. I mean, I'm even substituting school right now, and in my spare time. That's a tough challenge, but I'm enjoying it and seeing the needs, how we're going to help our children in the future, mainly with more discipline in order to allow the teachers to teach.
Now, this is me speaking. I don't know how you feel about it, and that's okay. When they took prayer out of school and discipline out of school, it seems like everything went downhill.
Bottom line, as I substitute, I've witnessed it over and over again. You take the Lord out of the schools, you take him out of anything, there's chaos.
Now, what about Australia just passed a law that said nobody can be on X, the Meta, or whatever they call it, Facebook or anything for it. If they do, then that company could be fined $33 million. And so they're taking away the children's cell phones out of the school. Is that a good idea?
Well, it's not a bad idea as far as the cell phones. The problem with it, they've exchanged it with iPads that have hidden games in them. And so anytime you substitute, you'll figure it out. They've been quite clever. But the problem is we need more personal interaction with the kids teaching and not letting an electronic tool do it. While it's important to use technology, you've got to use it in the right way.
I was reading something, online, whether you believe it or not, I don't know. But then I saw it on Fox News the other day. It said there are so many AI variations out there that AI is now infiltrating and fighting amongst themselves, So
Yeah.
is that the answer? I don't know.
Well, you're right about that. Even my screen time, in order to keep up with things, has increased since I retired. And but being a county commissioner, and there's some good and bad with AI, which we use all the time, especially for our GPS and other things that we do as far as communication and technology there.
Let's talk about some of these things that people are really interested in. First of all, taxes on Social Security. We've already paid it one time. Ronald Reagan went to the Congress and said, the Congress said, well, we'll do this if you'll do this. And so Ronald Reagan said, well, there's an untapped source here on taxes on Social Security. So that was the first step, and we've been taxed to death ever since. Well,
I'm totally against taxing Social Security, not because I just started drawing in August, but it is, it's a tax that you have already paid taxation on as far as your revenue through the many years of working. And I do believe it should, our seniors really aren't compensated for many things that go up as far as prices, and it needs to go away.
Well, now I agree because I know my wife and I both are on Social Security, and you look at it, and then you have to pick it up as income.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that. The income related with that really doesn't suffice to give you over and beyond what you want to do as far as giving and supporting various things and charities and things like that too.
We have a lot of problems in Washington, D.C., and you want to step into that swamp up there, huh?
Well, I'm somewhat already in it as far as some of the state and other federal activities I deal with. I'm on the EELU, which is environmental land and energy subcommittees with NACO. I've given a resolution, hopefully that Congress will look at and approve as far as water quality and PFAS and some of the things that have really destroyed our utilities. I'm engaged with many topics because of my chemical engineering degree that my predecessor, or hopefully predecessor, has not mastered. And all I've seen is a rising deficit and out of control spending, and not putting our Americans first in what we do.
That brings up out of control spending. What about the IRS? That's the world's largest collection agency, and Trump is talking about doing away with it.
Well, I agree. I think we ought to have maybe a usage tax or a flat tax. It should be much more simple than what we go through now, because all the LLCs and other things that are being formed to eliminate or show losses out of personal income. There's a lot of things that we do know that the common man does not get to, or woman get to deduct, and I think it's out of control. And I think the revision, I think Trump is correct in what he's thinking there.
So you're more in favor of just a flat tax or a usage tax? If you want to buy a cup of coffee, you pay the taxes on that.
That's exactly
if you want
what
to buy
I
a $100,000 car or a pickup truck, you pay taxes on it.
That's exactly what I think, especially as the wealthy have the ability to spend more. We'll also see the revenue that allows us better opportunities to help those less fortunate, especially those that, I know there's abuse. We need to stop abuse, yeah. But I also know there's some needy Americans out there, and they've turned healthcare into, it's never been addressed really in 30 years.
And that brings up another subject. What about healthcare? My insurance is out of sight. It's we're small market staff here, Tommy, and but our insurance just continues to rise.
Yeah, healthcare has gone out the roof, and the problem we have is, again, the dollar, the profitability of the insurance companies and private equity groups. They need to get out of the profit business and get back into the patient business. And I don't know how our elected officials have not seen that. And while even when they were on sabbatical with the government shutdown, they accomplished nothing. I've seen no plans even from the Democrats or the Republicans. But I think we've got to put something on. I think Trump is probably looking at some things that probably will help somewhat, but in the end, we've got we control 50% of the world's wealth, and with 5% of the population, we ought to be able to solve this problem.
And that brings up another thing. We are the world's leader in many industries. Now we look at China, we look at Venezuela, we look at Iran and those countries. China's buying too much farmland, not only in Alabama but also in the United States.
Yeah, totally out of control. Should be prohibited. Even with the land that's being purchased, you never know what it's going to be used for, and we've done a terrible job in energy prediction, energy recovery, and production, and even in our region, District 4 has so much promise. We have natural gas. We have a lot of things, and we have slowed down and got behind China in AI, which is the data centers, which may or may be advantageous in the future. But the problem is they're ahead of us in the small modular reactors, which is definitely a concern of mine, even if we have to subsidize those to get them in the marketplace. Especially if we're going to boom our economy with more industry and energy, we've got to stop some of the red tape with that. If we can build a nuclear bomb in a year, I know good and well we can put out some small nuclear reactors. And by the way, those cannot melt down, and they're safe. The fuel is not it's not much of it. In other words, it's easily stored.
And that brings up, now I'm on TVA at one of my locations here where my main transmitter is, but and they are we lack infrastructure as far as utilities are concerned. And my wife said, well, what if they shut the grid down? What if somebody comes in and shuts the grid down? And that's always a scary thought, isn't it?
Yeah, the transportation grid has to be upgraded. We've got to be able to, with more energy related to industry or other things of technology, we have to improve our transportation in the grid. We do, in my District 4, there's multi-utilities. There's Alabama Power, and of course there's TVA. And in fact, yesterday I just visited Gunnersville Dam with the mayor of Albertville and Gunnersville and various other TVA representatives and legislators. And we've got to get production on the grid. We made big mistakes by shutting down the coal plants.
Amen.
Amen. We have definitely messed up, and I don't know where our legislators were as far as this taking 3,000 acres in Colbert County and putting solar panels up just for 200 megawatts on a sunny day. I'm telling you, we're messing up. And just because of government subsidies, and that's a waste, and all that's doing is hurting the public.
Well, my wife and her sister own some land in the Mississippi Delta, flat land. And the solar people came to us and said, we want to rent your land to put solar panels on. I said, no, I have a row cropper that is farming the land, and I'm not interested in giving you 1 inch of the property to put a solar, a windmill on.
Well, we have one in the Cotton Flats over in proposal by Urban Grid, and it's a project that's very, it's not in a good location. It's in a historic area of the Belmont Mansion.
And they're ugly.
And it's ugly. Even the one that's in western Colbert County, it's ugly. It's not as efficient, 20%, and there's a lot of problems we have it. Now, I'm not against solar, don't get me wrong, in the right place and areas, but in remote areas to power your cabin or your hunting house or whatever you want to do. But it's we've made some bad decisions, and I will say Trump has done a good job in getting us back to energy independence, but we've got to keep working on that because we're far from where we need to be.
We didn't get this way overnight, okay? And so we're gonna have to, as my father used to say, we got to turn true. We got to work hard to pull ourselves out by the bootstraps and move forward.
Yeah, I mean it didn't happen overnight, but what I'm very concerned about is if we don't have knowledgeable, educated engineers and technology people that understand government and items that are facing America, we're in trouble. I'm not against lawyers, don't get me wrong, but it seems as though many of them may struggle with making certain decisions on the everyday life of an individual making money. But by the way, there's a lot of trades that are happening now that are good for them, and even becoming using our education system to use most discipline and finding out what a kid's talent is could go a long way in producing some jobs in the future and help America.
We have been influxed not only in your area but in the state of Alabama and the nation with illegals moving in here, receiving Social Security, all the benefits, free medical care, free cell phones, and free housing and food stamps. That needs to stop, in my opinion.
It's been a disgrace, and all of it has been a part of that as far as the legislative that allowed that, the money, and everything that was going on with illegal immigration has to be stopped. Legal immigration has been a good thing for America, especially in the building areas, roadways, other carpentry, but the fact of the matter is it's got to be legal, it's got to be processed in the right way, or else you get the chaos that occurred. Yeah, free cell phones, free everything, and
somebody's got to pay for it. In my opinion, okay.
Yeah, and it's a disgrace to the hard-working man, women, and people that are, and the elderly that have worked so hard to make things right.
We were built upon the hard work and faith and worshiping, and it seems as though we've gotten away from a lot of those principles that we had to begin with.
Yeah, I remember my dad, a pharmacist, he put me to work at age 12 washing dishes at the restaurant Walgreens in downtown Sheffield. It's quite a historic area, and what we did. But then I moved my way up to clerk, and then that's one of the reasons I decided to go into engineering instead of pharmacy, and because I spent too much time in a pharmacy in my young years. But I will tell you this: seeing my Social Security, seeing that my dad paid into Social Security at me being 12, 13, 14 years old means so much to me today. Not financially, but it just shows you the potential, the work ethic of what we need to be teaching our kids instead of glued to the iPhone for things that aren't worthy of attention, basically.
Well, I've made this comment several times, but not with you. My father had a 10-row cotton picker. He had 5 sons. We carried 2 rows each, okay?
Yeah.
We thinned cotton. We picked cotton and thinned our corn and took it to the grist mills. We ground it up for cornmeal and cattle feed, you know?
Yeah. That's good. There's 6 of us, brothers and sisters, and I know 5 of us came around in 7 years, and me and my 2 other brothers, we were in the same bedroom, and I said, I got to get out of this. So my dad knew we had to get a good education. We were held accountable. We cut yards. We did whatever we had to do. And that's taught me to be a better manager of both my money and other things that we do for other people.
We used to pick up, we always call them soda water bottles, okay?
Yeah.
for 2 cents a piece. And if you had the wood crate, it was $1, you know?
Yeah, if my dad was riding down the road, he'd see an aluminum can, we'd pick it up, and we'd cash them in.
I see a penny, which Trump's doing away with, on the street or sidewalk or wherever. I've been down to pick it up.
Amen.
And my wife said, why? I said, because 99 more and I got $1.
Well, that's it. And we do have some good opportunities. Speaking of that, for recycling, it's quite lucrative now. I know my wife works at Essity, environmental engineer there, and they recycle paper or cardboard and York or toiletry products, and it's got or napkins, and you see that product all around. That puts 500 to 1,000 people to work and things like that. And then you got the other place I worked at, Reynolds Metals. We actually produced ingots, and we also rolled aluminum sheet into cans and boats or whatever, potted meat cans, whatever you talk about. So there's money in recycling, there's money in creativity, but recycling needs to happen because our landfills are about full, and we are in a dangerous spot for development. When you have to recruit industry, you still have to have a place to put some of your waste.
I remember as a kid growing up, our landfill caught fire in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And it burned for weeks and weeks and weeks, and they couldn't put it out because it was so deep.
Yeah. Well, the lined landfills nowadays do much better job as far as the leachate and recovery of that. And also there's incineration methods to produce energy. We can, even a sewer wastewater plant can produce methane enough to, like they do in Europe, to get more efficient here in America. So there's things we can do. And if you get a good man in Washington that can throw these ideas out, technology will follow.
Well, you know, and speaking of technology, we've got a lot of our products being produced overseas, and the Huntsville area got a shot in the arm the other day. Eli Lilly is going to build a big manufacturing plant for some of their drugs there in the Huntsville, Madison area.
Happy to see that. I know when I was growing up, we had textile mills, Tennessee River and TJ's, et cetera. I think even over in Fort Payne was the sock capital of the world, and I think our legislator of 30 years helped vote SAPTA or NAFTA and all the treaties that ended up hurting the people. And now I'm glad to see a reversal of some of this through the president's actions to make investments in America happen again. And I'm happy to see it, but we got to get our infrastructure ready for it. You can't just flood the land with things you aren't prepared for, and that's where rural development comes in. And I've done a lot with that. And I've also done a lot with permitting with the EPA. And so there's a lot of things, like you said, in my baggage that and sometimes permitting is baggage because it takes too long to get something done. And these people,
and that's the problem.
Well, they need to get back to the office and work. Half of them are still working at home. And I don't have a problem with people working at home if they're doing the work that can be done. But some of the government agencies are not still efficient as they should be.
Do you think we're overburdened with too many people on the payroll in the government?
There's no doubt. Government has grown and grown, and Ronald Reagan said it right as far as that goes. It was just, it'll grow out of control if you allow it.
And it
has. And if you see, even with me, I've optimized a lot of processes. I've been able to bring on, if you look at my resume, I've been able to bring on new technology through engineers and other people in the coating, aluminum coating area, and also environmental things that have played well as far as public safety and health. And when I was at Reynolds, I was able to change every rolling oil to naphthenic base to a paraffin wax base that made it much safer for breathing and other things. And even coatings going to waterborne. Reynolds Metals used to be one of the biggest polluters in the state, and I'm happy to say I was one of the guys that helped take those VOCs and reduce them down to negligible.
We touched base on this a little bit, but Medicare, I'm on Medicare, and one day you'll be on Medicare too. And those prices the rates just continue to rise. How do we control it?
Yeah, how do you control it? Well, the Medicare, I will say that while I do have a Medicare card, hospitalization, hope I don't have to use it anytime soon, but I will say that in itself, we have to control the cost through either plans that have been available, and I've been very fortunate as my retirement. The utility I work for actually does have a plan that I buy into, but for the common man, it's a tough go, and we're going to have to develop that, in my opinion, with the plans that are being made for those that are uninsured.
Well, you got to understand now. You're going to have to go across the aisle to work with the independents and more Democrats and independents in Congress. How do you plan to do that?
Well, I think some of them have the same goals. For one thing, there are many tests that need to be run, but if their tests are profit driven, you got to be careful because and I know there's probably things that are happening that are overkill. But yet you also don't want to miss something. But there's a fine balance, for instance, but there is a lot of overkill in proving yourself to insurance, which wastes millions of dollars because you have to prove yourself. A dentist won't, you may have a cracked tooth and they'll deny it, make you refile over and over again until they have to run more tests to prove it's cracked, more x-rays and things of that nature. But there's got to be more public trust. There's got to be more accountability for the providers and those that are taking insurance.
Tommy Barnes, my guest, a candidate for state senate here for Congress here in the state of Alabama. What about daylight savings time? Now, what are you going to do about daylight savings time?
I think they need to come together, and we need to stay where we are and where we were. Where we were. And quit putting the body through this. We've proven that it causes upsets. I remember Y2K. I thought, it was a lot of
people got rich off Y2K.
Why they sure did. I remember the overtime. We had to go in at midnight and make sure the plant didn't shut down. But things worked out. But you're right. We need consistency in that. I believe that kids are resilient. It's already dark in areas. We're just putting a Band-Aid and creating more problems there. I think we need to go to a fixed time zone.
Why should people go to the polls and vote for Tommy Barnes?
Well, I think they should. Number one, you're not going to get changed till you get term limits. And me at my age, I only want a couple terms to provide what every city and county needs in these 13 counties to get the framework going for a prosperous future for our young kids and grandkids. I think what's happened to us now, Washington has become a cesspool of money-grabbing, rich, money-making politicians instead of looking out for the American public. And if you want something, if you want somebody that's got proven not only ambitions, but associated degrees and other abilities to make things happen, it can. If you're going to move forward, you got to make waves in that boat, and I'm going to make some waves. And we have not had anyone making waves in our district or really in our state in a way that it should be in U.S. Congress. I speak for the little man. I speak for the middle class and even the rich. You got to look at everyone individually and relate to each person and serve them just like you would in an honorable way.
Are you saying that you get in your pants the same way the rich man gets in his pants?
That's correct. Okay. I do. And there's no envy. It's just that we need to make sure that things are not out of control. You let something get out of control. Look at college football. It's gotten out of control. That's what government's gotten out of control.
Boring now.
And now it's boring. People are tempted to get away from it. And that's what's happened to politics. People are tempted not to even go vote and try to get your name out there with someone that's running against someone that's got 30 years in, nearly 30 years. I'm telling you, there's a lot of restrictions, and they won't be as kind as WKUL were. I've been invited here in an honorable way, and that's what you got to do. There's got to be equality. You want your best person in the job to get the best results.
Tommy Barnes, I want to thank you for your time today.
Honored to be here, and thank you for allowing me to be here, Ron. Appreciate you.